I'm Lindsay Alexander, and this is mybanktracker.com. I'm sure there are plenty of people that run into the issue of not being able to pay their taxes and complete their tax return on time. But think about this. Rather than just forget about what you owe by April 15th, you'll get penalized. So it would make things much easier for you and the IRS to file a tax extension in order to get that time you need to complete your return. If that's the case, the IRS may give you a 6-month extension for you to get your documentations together. You'll need to complete the IRS Form 4868. This form can be filed electronically or through the mail. Taxpayers can complete and submit the form on their own or have their tax preparer do it for them. There will be a due date issued for the filing the extension that you must conform to in order to qualify for the extension, which is normally set for April 15th. Individuals and businesses can file forms to request the extension of time. For people with certain situations, like those serving our country in a combat zone, can be granted an automatic extension of time. This may also apply to taxpayers who are living outside the U.S. or have been outside the U.S. at the time when a 6-month time extension has expired. It would be best to check with a stateside tax preparer or CPA to see if you're eligible for the certain qualifications when living outside the U.S. If you do have to file an extension, it's important to know and understand what goes along with it. The deadline after an extension for filing will be in October, and you won't face any penalties for filing late when the extension has been granted. But if you're due to pay money to the IRS instead of waiting for a refund, you'll have to estimate the amount of money due to the IRS and make a payment by the original April 15th deadline. Your estimated payment will be required to be paid, and your request for a time extension must be submitted to the IRS by April 15th, or you'll incur late fees and penalties. If you don't file for more time, you don't make a payment, or fail to file your return in the correct time frame, you could face much more penalties in addition to the balance you owe to the IRS in a tax year. It's also important for you to make a reasonable estimate of the amount due back to the IRS. If you happen to estimate low, the IRS may not grant you that time extension, and you will face a late fee and more penalties until the situation is taken care of in a proper manner. Interest will be added onto the balance you already owe. By paying less than the amount equal to 90% of the taxes you owe, a 0.5% penalty will be added onto the amount of your account for each month that passes until the balance has been remitted in full. If your reason for filing an extension is reasonable, just make sure you follow the rules and submit the request in time. If you file late most of the time, make sure you know what penalties you could face so you can get more prepared for next year to avoid the fees you may get charged with. Also, if you're not keeping up with tax information throughout the year, you may be missing out on important information such as deductions that you could save money on. If you miss out on those deadlines and information, you may get in a never-ending battle of fees and penalties that creates an outstanding balance with the IRS. The government has a lot of power they can use to get the money you owe them. They could freeze your financial assets and file liens against your personal property. Instead of having to go through all of this and have a legal battle with the IRS, it would only benefit you to keep on top of your taxes to make sure you won't get stuck in a huge whirlwind of problems. You can also look into getting a certified tax professional to help you sort out the mess to keep you on track and to make sure you're doing right by the IRS. I'm Lindsay Alexander with mybanktracker.com, and together we're going to build your finances and rebuild the world.